Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Awakening Happiness, where we share our stories and our discoveries as we awaken our own happiness. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The button's down there at the bottom of this screen. And if you like our content, if you are a regular viewer already, please feel free to share. Maybe your friends will find our stories useful and what we are talking about here as well. So, without any further ado, today's topic. Hello, Chris. Today's
Hello.
topic is we did think about formulating it in an intriguing way, and this is what we came up with, and we called it the two types of selfish. So, what are the two types of selfish? When you think about the word selfish, probably you already know, you have a certain idea about what selfish is, because we hear it since we are a very little child. Don't be selfish, don't be selfish, share your
Share.
toys.
Yeah.
And so we grow up with this idea that we need to share our resources, we need to be kind to people, we need to prioritize their needs to our needs. And when we actually get to the point where we burn out with all this giving and sharing and not being selfish, we start to have issues with people telling us to start loving ourselves and prioritize our self-care and self-love. And so it's like a big confusion starts to happen in our heads where we think, no, I can't do this because I'm going to be selfish. If I start loving myself and taking a break when I need a break, I'm going to be considered selfish. And so this is our little intro into the two types of selfish. Chris, what would you say about it?
It's another one of these paradoxes of life, and they're all over the places. Every place you search, you'll find a paradox where you can argue one way and you can argue another. And like selfish is where someone claims another person is selfish. What they're really saying is that you're spending time doing what you want to do and not really giving those other people a decent attention. So, yeah, when you look at that, that's there's a lack from the other person in terms of what I would call self-love. They're expecting something from outside to come in and rescue their situation. Now, with with I went to see the Dalai Lama, not a one-to-one, you understand. I was in an audience of about 3,000, and he was on the stage, and there was it was actually the Happiness Project or something. Anyway, he was on the stage, and he was asked, like, what is happiness, like, and selfishness, and and the Dalai Lama said there's two types of selfish. There's the selfish where you just want everything for yourself, so you're just basically hoovering up everything and just want to be in possession of it to the exclusion of maybe a few close loved ones or whatever, but you're basically wanting everything, more of this, more of that, more of everything for yourself, and controlling that. And then the other type of selfish, which is the recognition that in order for you to be able to be, and it comes down to the intent. So one intent is to get everything for yourself. And the other intent is that I want to be able to help others, but I recognize that I need to sort some problems out, or I need to get to myself to a certain state where, and this is really important, it's like that I can give to others unreservedly, unconditionally, and without agenda. And I think this is the bit that I can't lay credit to. This I think comes from, it's just, the Dalai Lama highlighted it, which was interesting. And it, like, I'm a computer guy, so if you take, someone says to me, "Oh, Chris, I know you can help me with this." Okay, let's say they want to learn Twitter, say, or they want to learn Facebook or anything, like, or they wanted some piece of dialogue or whatever, and my computer is not working, right? So I say, okay, well, I can help you. Yeah, sure, I've got the knowledge to do that. But right now, my computer's broken. I've got to get it fixed. I've got to sort it out. It might take me a day or so to do that. Oh no, no, I want that now. I want the Twitter thing now. Yeah, but I can't help you right now because I don't have a computer. Right, this is almost like, if you extrapolate this and you apply it to relationships, it's the same thing. It's like, I can't help you yet because I got this thing to do first in order for me to be in the position to be able to do what you've asked me to do without agenda, without wanting something from you, without wanting this or that, because I'm already topped up with, this is another, self-love and resources. I'm resourceful now. I'm in a position to help you, and yeah, you're the only one that can determine that. But that isn't selfish. That's saying, I need to do more of my own work here in order for me to offer the best services that I can to you as an individual. So yeah, I think this is the two types of selfish. One is just almost like greed, almost like greed, where I couldn't give a monkeys about anybody else. I just want everything for myself, and I'm going to spend all the time working on what I can get for me, bugger everybody else. And then the other one is like, my intent is to support and help others, but in order to do that without agendas, without expecting some kind of compensation of,
Or fear of not something not happening if you don't do it.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's an element of control there. So yeah, I think, that's kind of how I interpreted what the Dalai Lama was saying, and it's kind of what I do these days. I'm not, you can tell, and other people will say, like, am I operating in a selfish way? I'm trying hard to basically come from the position of the intent, and the intent is to almost like match energies. People say, I really want some support, and and they're providing, they're doing something too, which shows their, if you like, their desire to be non-selfish, if you like, and support others as well. Then of course you can allocate the time to those people. And there's another paradox, is it unconditional? Is it, if someone's behaving strangely and you give unconditional support, they've got a chance of leeching you of all your energy. And this is one
Mm.
of the paradoxes. It's like, people often ask me, how much do you give to someone without expecting a payment? Well, we've all got to live. This is all about you. You've got to have some money, so that you can't just give away everything. But then, oh, hang on a minute, aren't you? You're not. You're doing it with not unconditionally. Then you're expecting some reward. Well, there has to be an exchange of energy, doesn't there, at some point? So you can't do it all for free. Otherwise, you end up ruining yourself.
Well, you're
And
just
then,
ruining it. Your cup is becoming empty and empty and empty, and you're not refilling it,
yeah,
and it
and
will run dry.
and refilling that cup can be in the form of energy, or money is energy, or it could be in the form of some kind of service, or whatever. But there has to be balance as well. But like it's really important that people don't confuse these two types of selfish, because it
Yeah.
comes from intent. And I think, like you have to work it out for yourself. This is just, like how I operate, like, but I think people, it's difficult. It is so difficult to navigate this and to be happy with it yourself. And there's no fixed answer, I don't think. Like it is a paradox, like it depends on the connection, doesn't it? If someone comes along and all they do is demand off you, there's never any, like contribution, then you look at that and the person and you say, well, okay, it could be your wife, like it could be your husband. So you
Mm.
just carry on. But if it's somebody else, at some point, people often ask me, how much should I give for free before I start charging? And it's like, well, how long is a piece of string? It depends on the person, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, in my in my sorry, in my understanding, I when you said the two types of selfish, I got a bit jumpy. No, no, no. There are no two types of selfish. There is one selfish, and then there's one that's self-love. So if you don't like the idea of it being two types of selfish, like the Dalai Lama way, I have another way for you, which is there is one type of selfish, and then there's one type of self-love. So the type of selfish that I'm talking about is the one where you somehow get the impression from a young age, and you kind of operate in this way, where you think that your needs are the most important needs, and you expect everybody else to put your needs before their needs. That's what Chris was saying. You were saying is this greediness, like it's me and I don't care about anybody else. So this is that's all. It's all to do about the perception of needs and how they're met. So the real selfish person will be expecting everybody else to be taking their needs first. And then there's the self-love where everybody takes their own needs first without the expectation or control or the need of them being satisfied from the outside. So it's all about, like you say, the intent, or it's about the state of being, how you are being, how you are perceiving things, and respectively how you are behaving. And we had before we started streaming this, we talked about a kid with their toys. So a child gets the idea, well, like you, Chris, you were saying, when they're very little, they would they would have no problem giving their toys to other children or to their parent, or they don't have a problem sharing their toys. But somehow, as they grow up, they start developing these behaviors where they don't want to share, they want everything for themselves. And somehow they get like this selfishness and self-love kind of gets divided. They start to not, maybe they somehow they realize that if they want to have their needs met, they need to be in a certain way. And then that creates a problem where their needs are not met now. And they need to find outside solutions for that, or attract attention so their needs can get met. And so, yeah, it all starts in childhood, I'm afraid. And learning how to be selfish or selfless is it's got all to do with the parents, how they are. And so if they keep telling the child, oh, you need to share because these toys are not all just yours, you need, this is mine, this is your brother's, this is yours, da da da. And somehow in the midst of that, children get confused and start to and well, I've got a bit lost in my thought
It's
here.
a it's a complicated thing, because the idea of it's mine, yeah, is easy to grasp for a child. It's easy to grasp that because they see it
Mm,
all around them. The mother, no, you don't take that. That's mine. Or you can have that. That's that this is yours. Yeah, right. So this definition of ownership is rife in the household. It's always rife in the household. So the child can easily adopt that because this ownership, which rather than use of, it be this ownership thing, and that's where this.
mm,
Oh, that's mine. That's mine. Oh, I want that. Oh, you can't have that. I'm having that. Like before they've even spoken, they just clout each other and take the toilet off them, and you get this development here, a less easy to a concept to transmute, accepting the idea of let's share, which just basically is a instruction. It doesn't get to the underlying cause.
mm.
um, it is the idea of none of this is anybody's. This is just all stuff that's here along with us, kind of thing. And you have to top up your own sort of love first. It's like, how can a kid grasp this concept? It's like beyond the realms of so it's almost like you have to go through this learning curve, because the simplest thing to get is it's mine, it's mine. What happens is if they do that, they end up not being liked, and people just end up gathering elsewhere and not with them. So, although this is the child psychology thing, it's just interesting because it kind of, when you translate it to adults, it's basically we have no this idea of loving yourself so that you can offer unconditional love is difficult. It's difficult because the you have to almost be aware that this is going on in order to be able to look at it and look at yourself and then implement it, which is even more difficult because it's like
And so it goes, as we say, go into adulthood, and then we have a mother. Like in my case, I was a mother. I'm still I still am a mother. But when my kids were young, everything was done for them, um, and I forgot about myself. This thing about self-love didn't exist in my world. I didn't even. I thought I loved myself because I just I functioned. I lived. So I must love myself. Now, what's all this? No, no, no. Don't talk to me about loving myself. I love my kids. I love my husband, and I know what their dreams are, and I'm making sure they're all well presented and well happy, and everything else. Clean the house, blah blah. But the concept of me loving myself was completely different, completely non-existent, and when that marriage broke, that was the problem. Like, oh my God, nobody loves you. You don't love yourself. You're worthless. So loving myself was the first thing I had to develop and find the reasons why I was so miserable. I'm still working on it. loving oneself, and it's not really about so much loving yourself, because that might be a bit of a faraway step for some people. It starts with accepting that this is what's happened, accepting that some part of me got forgotten, accepting that um, I've also got needs, and they were this some part of me got neglected and rejected, and who rejected it? I did, because it was a way for me to cope and to be considered. That was my impression, that if I do all these other things, I will be accepted and loved. But I wasn't loving that part of the other part of me who didn't want to do that, who wanted to be free maybe, or who wanted to be doing, I don't know, buying clothes, or I'm not sure what that other part was that was neglected and rejected and subdued to non-existence. But unless all of this came to the surface and was accepted, I couldn't really go on forward. I was just going to go and kill myself, because there was so much that was wrong. And it was difficult to see it because I didn't even know where to look.
Well, and the thing is, what happened in your case was you take on a robotic job, which basically allows you to sit in this situation probably without having to, well, the finances are kind of looked after. You're doing a job which is fairly simple and robotic for you, but it's almost like, well, I'm pushing all that other work to one side for a minute while I settle and get used to this new paradigm, because it is a new paradigm and you're doing some work. And then when there comes a point where the the need for the work becomes greater, the self-development work becomes greater than the remuneration or the satisfaction from the things you're doing all day, then you change it, which is what you did, and then you've got more time and more space to do this self-love work. And like it's, just observing that seems to be what happens. But yeah, you can go from, like when you're in that role, when you was in that role as a mum, I get, and I see this all over the place, is that basically the role, like my daughter as well, the role becomes one of debasing yourself in the search of pleasing others. So you
If that's
become
what it was, you just
you
adopt
become a
this role and you think that's you.
and you become a people pleaser. And the irony in all of this really is that the only person that can please you is you, and the only person that can please me is me. Nobody else. Nobody can get inside my brain and switch on some please switch. Right, I'm responsible for doing that, and nobody else. So it doesn't matter how much you try and please other people. In fact, I think in families, the more you try, the worse it gets, because they just push the boundary to another level and then another level. And
Mm.
I know this because I did it. I did it to my mum. I pushed her to the boundary. Oh, she started crying, and then it was like, oh, okay. I feel bad about it. Not that bad, but um,
I'll do it
and then
again another time.
yeah, and then the next time it was like, right, can we go any further on this one?
Oh gosh.
and and I knew when she started crying, I was in trouble with my dad when he got home. Like that was my worst problem. It wasn't that this situation occurred. It was, oh no, I'm in trouble with my dad now.
Mm.
But the so it's a tightrope. It's really difficult to find balance in all of this. And the thing is, it's no point in trying to sort other people out and try to advise and guide them if you're not even sorted the
Mm.
balance out yourself. Because balance in this it's a paradox.
Yeah, but
Everywhere.
there's another thing about guiding and advising. Maybe we can do another episode on that. It's all, if you think about it, it comes down to a very deep level of taking responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Facing the paradox of
Mm.
Schrodinger's cat, which we talked about before. Is it alive, is it dead, type of thing. It's like it can be both simultaneously. And how can that be? It's either alive or it's dead, isn't it? No, but there's a point of not knowing which one works, right? And we have these paradoxes are all over the place in life, and we search, because we're rational beings. We search for the absolute truth. The thing is, there isn't any
It doesn't
absolute.
exist. It's a quantum universe. It can be this, it could be that, it could be a third, it could be fourth, it could be anything.
Well, and the point is, there's a lot of it is beyond our capability of six senses to acknowledge anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what we can acknowledge is what we can experience through our senses. But beyond that, it's like it could be any number of things in realms that we have no idea about, and yet we think we do. We don't actually. So, we just don't know. So it's a tricky one. This, and there is
So
no.
one hint, one piece of tip. So whenever you get triggered by the triggered by the world, when you hear the word you are being selfish, maybe think about it. Am I prioritizing, am I expecting other people's needs over mine? Am I expecting they'll forget about what they want and do what I want? Am I expecting that of them? And if they don't do it, I'm accusing or they're accusing me, or well, what's going on with this word selfish? Um, and the same with self-love. Are you getting triggered when you think, oh, I need to give myself more self-love? What's the feeling that comes? And there's always some kind of an unmet, whenever there is this type of an emotion, if it's not a desirable one, there's always some kind of an unmet need. And this comes, at the back of that comes a certain fear. And discovering that fear is where the work would be. In my case, it was the fear of not being loved, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being criticized, and the fear of being taken, like that I'm not smart enough. These were my fears. And what am I doing at the moment? I'm exposing myself to the utmost level to be able to accept these parts of me that were rejected or abandoned or ridiculed or made fun of or whatever, so that I can accept them. And that's actually the ultimate point of this life, is to accept who we are, to learn to love ourselves and to be practicing self-love. The more we love the whole of who we are, the better our experience will be and the happier we'll become. Like Chris, you were saying that you were asked, what do you want to do in your life? What is it what is the one thing you want to do that you really want to do, and you can't find rest until you've done it? You said, well, I'm not grasping to anything about anything. What did you say? Something like that.
I would like another day. Like that's what I
Yeah.
want. But the thing is that when someone says to you, "You're being selfish," yeah, like you can do what you said. You can say, "Well, look at yourself and understand what you're doing." But the other thing is how are they saying the truth? They're saying is that their experience matches their definition of selfish. That's what they're saying. Their experience of the connection with you is matching a definition of selfish that they've endorsed. But in truth, that needs to be considered by them.
Yeah.
Are they actually just angry with you, and therefore, because they didn't get their way, are they calling you selfish for denying it? What is it? It's a complex thing, and it works on both levels.
Both sides as well.
Yeah, and it might be that you're totally not being selfish, and you've done enough work already to look at that, and you know you feel quite justified in what you're doing, and it's okay. So but you need to reflect on it potentially,
and see what your state is, your intention is, and that's where the key is.
That's right.
How you are inside of you.
And this is the other thing. Are you trying to get something and the other person is saying all you're doing is selfish, or are they trying to get something from you, and because you're denying it, you're considered selfish? It's tricky. It's a moving feast, and you have to.
But the other thing is, because our thoughts create our environment and our life, if you still have things in your system that have this element of selfishness or self-love, and something is not quite right there, you will keep generating an environment where you'll hear these comments. And if you heal that inside of you, you're never going to hear it because it's already healed.
They've probably done this to death.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap this up now. So, but what do you think about selfishness, being selfish, being self-loving? We would really like to hear your thoughts. You can comment below. And for now, goodbye and see you tomorrow in another episode of Awakening Happiness. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell. Bye for now.
Bye.